Hello, everyone. This is LeiLani Cauthen, the CEO of Learning Counsel News Media and Research, also a proud EduJedi Grandmaster. We're going to get started here in our second day of our virtual digital transition discussion for Illinois, Ohio, Missouri, and Iowa. We want to also thank our sponsors, ClassLink, Blackboard, CommScope, Ruckus, Cisco, and Scholastic Digital. And we're going to hear from some of them today. So with that said, I just want to introduce everyone to Ivy Nelson, who's the Technology Integration Coordinator for Belton School District. And we met her, 3 years ago? Is it 3?
It was right before, I think February or March of 2020, right before. Yeah.
Yeah. And then I went up after that to Seattle, where the outbreak was the worst. I think I got infected and landed in San Antonio after that. It was horrible. And then we shut down, but now we're back. We're at least talking digitally. So I'm super excited to have you with us. So do you want to share screen, or do you just want to talk through everything?
Well, I do have some, I could share screen of some PD that we're doing, but
that's great.
Okay. So basically, in the Belton School District, so we're on the south side of Kansas City in Missouri, on the Missouri side. And we, part of our answer to, we've been one-to-one with our secondary devices for a long time. And so a device for every student, like 7th through 12th grade. So our answer to, when we shut down, we struggled a lot with our elementary because we didn't have a device for every student. Some students didn't have devices at home. They were trying to do school from their parents' phones, all of those issues that, we're seeing all across the country. So our answer to that, with some of our COVID money, we actually worked with a nonprofit here in Kansas City called Lean Lab, who's amazing, and the Coughman Foundation in Kansas City, and got a grant to put towards the purchase of some iPads as well. So we expanded. So in the fall of last school year, we were able to have a device for every student. So in our district now, we have K-8 iPads for every student, and then our secondary 9-12 are MacBooks. So we had previously one elementary school, K-6, taking the devices home. None of the other elementaries had devices. So now we have them as class sets for those buildings, because we're still not to that point where we feel like staff, students, families are ready for them to go home. So that was reactive, right? We had to answer, solve a problem quickly and throw money at it, get devices in kids' hands. It was helpful, very helpful, for when we had students quarantine. They had a device checked out to them last year that they could just take home and bring back. And that worked well. As far as teachers, it was a little difficult to manage there, but that class set model has been more manageable than having kids take the device home every night, having them all bring it back. So we now are trying to get a handle on everything, so that, number one, we feel like we have done a good job to prepare our staff to teach in a one-to-one environment, to prepare our students for that. And then also, when we get to the point where we're sending all of these devices home in a true one-to-one environment, we want our families to feel confident as well. So I'm going to share my screen. So this was and this again is all part of, it's all part of some digital literacy that we're working on. But the big part of that is digital citizenship. So that's kind of where we're starting. Our focuses for our tech PD, and again, this is from teacher feedback in our district from last year. So we're focusing on digital citizenship. We are focusing on classroom management in a one-to-one classroom, and then specific district provided tech resources. So 1 and 2 really have a lot to do with digital citizenship, because that lends itself to the classroom management.
Okay.
So we're using Common Sense Media for that. It's free. This is my counterpart. She is new to this position this year, instructional technology coach, Heather Dill. So shout out to Heather. She's done amazing things with all of our digital citizenship, and I'll recruit her to talk next time too. So our leadership team for digital citizenship, we have, Heather and I, of course, supporting district wide, and then our library media specialists. So if you do not currently have a digital citizenship curriculum, I'm sure you do, because SIPA requires you, and if you get E-rate funding, you have to have some sort of digital citizenship, something somewhere. We were not teaching it consistently and with fidelity. You hear that term all the time in education. So this is us trying to be more intentional and trying to be more effective than we have been in the past. So using your library and media specialists in that capacity as a building lead for digital citizenship. And then instructional coaches as well. We're lucky enough to have a team of 5 instructional coaches that are also placed throughout the district.
And Ivy, in the transition to the pandemic, did the instructional coaches end up building a lot of curriculum themselves?
We did. So we had a lot of, we had kind of taken on that revamping all of our curriculum several years ago. And we just, it's a continual process always, right? Yeah. So that was a big thing. And like when we shut down, it was a scramble to have good resources and being consistent with online resources. And the thing that we found was most helpful, we were just really consistent about, okay, if you've been using Seesaw, if you've been using Google Classroom, if you've been using Canvas in our secondaries, just stick with that and communicate with parents through that resource. Don't try to, we don't want people to overwhelm themselves by finding all these new things to try and new resources to try. We're going to be consistent with what we're doing. And really it was the basis of the Sammer model, right? So we're substituting, we're augmenting, but that was what we needed to do in that moment, right? So then now we can be more proactive, and we can grow on that and get better and do more innovative things once we have that basis, which was where our one-to-one buildings were. They transitioned very easily. It was our other buildings who weren't familiar with the technology. And then it made it harder too, because since they didn't have the consistent devices for every student, it was just whatever the kid had at home. So trying to troubleshoot with kids and support and that kind of stuff, that made it even harder, because it was like, I had a dad call one time trying to get somebody from the tech office, and he's like, I'm running Windows Vista. So I'm like, oh, bless your heart. So, that kind of stuff that just, now we have the same device with the same, apps and software and that kind of stuff. So it's a lot easier if you're, I feel very lucky to have that, because we haven't always. And I know there's a lot of districts that still don't. So the objectives, again, we want to prepare our staff, our students, and then also our families. And then in the buildings that are already one-to-one, so our STEAM elementary, that's K-6, our middle school and our high school, we want to improve those one-to-one environments and still use the digital citizenship, which as you get to the tween teenage students is incredibly important. And, you can't talk about it enough as parents or teachers online, that online life there. So I love this quote by Kevin Honeycutt, right? Our kids are just out there in the online world, and we've got to be monitoring and, keeping them safe and teaching them how to keep themselves safe. So the why behind it is because it is what is best for everybody. And students, navigating a digital world, we need, as school leaders and parents and guardians, we need to be showing them and teaching them. We got a new content filter this year, and the content filter filters at school. And now for the first time, we're filtering content at home. And we have had a lot of unhappy teenagers at the high school, especially, because they can't do all the things that they had gotten used to doing, like downloading movies illegally and all of those things, or playing certain games and things. And so using it as a teaching tool. Okay, well, if this site is blocked, and yes, it's just a simple game that's not violent and not inappropriate, why is it blocked? Well, it's because it's installing something in the background. It's, asking you to sign in, and it's taking your personal information. Different things like that when, that students don't, yes, they're good with technology, but they don't understand those types of things. And that is our responsibility. And then also maintaining a healthy balance. Over the last 2 years, our lives have been inundated with technology and screen time. And so just getting back to, you don't need tech all the time. And you're getting it enough at school. When you come home, you've got to balance that as well. And as a parent, that is a hard thing, because it's really easy for, have some screen time while I cook dinner, have some screen time while I do laundry, those types of things that you just need the balance for our students. So this was a statistic from Common Sense in 2019. So 7 hours and 22 minutes is what teenagers spend online, not including entertainment purposes. So 7 hours and 22 minutes in 2019, just for school stuff. Now,
a week or a day?
A day.
No.
A day.
No.
Yes.
Oh.
In 2019, it was right? Crazy. So then add, when they get home, all their entertainment stuff, all their things that they're wanting to do for fun on their phones and devices. And then now virtual school, and how many hours they're being asked to do that. So that's just insanity, right? We also have to look at equity. So in Belton, we are trying to be more equitable with, we have a device for every student, and that helps with equity. We are members of the 10 million project through now it was Sprint with 1 million, and now it's T-Mobile with the 10 million project to get free hotspots for every student in the district. Because students in low income households spend an average of 2 hours more time online each day. So it's even more important in those low income households to be balancing that technology and, healthy habits.
Yeah, I remember when we were there, we introduced you to T-Mobile, right?
Yes. Yeah. So this is how we are going to break it out for our staff. We use Common Sense. It will be taught by all of our classroom teachers in elementary, advisory at the middle school, and then our anchor teachers, which is like an advisory at the high school. So K-12, and then, and we don't, previously our library media specialists were teaching it when you'd come to the library for a library lesson, kind of like a special, like a supplement. And we just need it to become part of our school culture. So this year is the first year that we're really setting these expectations for every teacher that has students in a homeroom class to be teaching it. And then all school, like educational staff, will participate in professional development on it. So if you're a para, if you are a counselor or a librarian, you are getting this professional development as well. So it can become part of just how we talk to kids and how we, all of those expectations everywhere in the school. And then parents. Parents are overwhelmed as it is. You add technology, you add, all of these other issues and things. And it's like, where do you start, and how do you get a handle on it when you have not set boundaries yet? How do you backtrack and try to crack down on setting healthy expectations for your child at home? So tips and tricks and things like that, using Common Sense Media as a resource to share that information. And then also some resources that we have as a district about our content filter, about different things that we, just teach all of our parents when and if devices go home with their child. So this was kind of a scary statistic. This PD was at the end of September. So about mid-September was that TikTok Devious Licks challenge where students were supposed to go and vandalize and damage school bathrooms. So pulling paper towel dispensers, soap dispensers off the wall, tearing up toilets, all of those things. So in 1 week alone, this TikTok challenge cost our district $5,000 in damages. So that's not okay, right? And so that's something that like, this is relevant. This is happening right here. And it's not, like it's costing money. And it's so just a way to kind of use data that we had and the urgency to try to, get our teachers on board, parents on board, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And then so then Heather took over at this point and she showed we have our district scope and sequence. Mm-hmm. And so I'll stop sharing now since I kind of ran out of slides. So we then shared our district scope and sequence for digital citizenship. We talked about, where those are found on our district webpage for teacher curriculum and, trying to make it basically having the support of our assistant superintendent of school improvement to make it like just any other curriculum. So you see the digital citizenship pacing guides for every grade level right there with ELA and math and science and social studies, and all of your other important subjects that are being taught. So that is great to have that support. We're doing PD every PD day we have for the rest of the year. We will spend 30 minutes to an hour on digital citizenship, checking in with how it's going. We're setting the expectation that every teacher will teach 3 lessons. And then we will we've already done a technology town hall for parents to talk about digital citizenship, the new content filter, that kind of stuff. We've promoted a texting program through Common Sense Media for our younger students. So I think it is kindergarten or pre-K through 3rd grade parents can do a texting program where Common Sense will text you a little reminder or tip or something helpful as a parent. And then, so having a community event, having teachers teach that many lessons. So then we will be able to earn our district, Common Sense certified district and schools by the end of the year. So that is kind of the goal, just to say, hey, this is, we're doing this, we're following through. And then part of it is feedback. So asking teachers to reflect on the lessons, any positive changes they've seen, and then asking, we're going to have stakeholder surveys as well at probably January. So to ask, how's it gone? Have you done any of the, because as teachers teach lessons in class, they'll send home an activity with students to do at home. So, have you done those activities? Have you found anything helpful? Last week was Digital Citizenship Week, and we had a lot of teachers send us cool pictures and videos of them doing different activities in their classrooms with students. We try to make it fun. I was away at a conference, but Heather was prize patrol and had little prizes for classes. So when the teacher sent us pictures saying that they're doing the activity, then the class got to pick a prize out of the treasure chest and that kind of stuff. So trying to make it fun, trying to make it get the point across that this is another curriculum that we believe in and that we're going to do and follow through with. So not, policing things or, trying to make the accountability just, it is what it is, and celebrating our wins, celebrating successes that teachers have had, to continue to get people on board, and just that change of looking years down the road, we'll be in a better place. So, yeah.
Okay. Well, two things.
Yes.
One, by January, so before your next digital decision thing, we will have to you the updated EduJedi reference guide.
Yay.
So that has the digital learning experience standards that are, sort of the leveling up of common sense. They go deeper into individual responsibilities for administrators, teachers, and students. Because as you digital transition, things get way more sophisticated. So, for example, you're using a lot of outside software, and students need to have student agency and be aware if they're in the right level. So there's just other little polishes that need to be done. And we'll work on that when we're with you.
Yeah.
Right. So that's going to be part of the workshops when we're there. And Chris is going to talk about all that work today.
Okay.
Chris McMurray, he's going to talk about that later today and show it off, so to speak, because it's been huge amount of work for all the other EduJedi. We probably invited you to some of those meetings. I don't know.
I think probably, yeah.
Yeah. But now you'll know. And then the second thing is okay, so this is your baseline, everything that you're doing to just put in the heightened awareness that now the distribution pattern of teaching and learning is digital, right? So people have to have their little P's and Q's all in and have this, digital citizenship orientation. So the basics are all in. Then the next level most districts go into is really playing with their digital mix, is a teacher doing every single lesson? Are they leaning on some of this high value digital courseware? Are your networks upgraded? Because now the traffic is 100% more or 1,000% more. What's happening with you? So what are your feelings about sort of the next mountain to climb?
Well, the next thing that so this has been a project for several years, but our data governance, and it was so in 2 years when I first met you guys, 2 years ago, I talked about we were writing and creating our digital or our data governance policy for the district, which outlines everything. So all of the, my focus is teacher, professional development, student, that kind of stuff. But this is everything from how often we require password changes for staff and finance procedures with technology and our student information system procedure, that all of that stuff, like data breach or disaster recovery, everything, that our district would have to consider with data governance. So that has been unofficially approved by our district leadership team, our superintendent's assistant soups, that kind of stuff. And we actually meet tomorrow with our data governance committee in our district to start working on action plans. So that is kind of the next thing for us, is working on, okay, if we're going to start rolling this out in January, what are things we're going to do this spring semester as far as, are we going to start talking about disaster recovery? Are we going to work on that first? And then if we fully roll it out fall of 2022, we're going to have teacher PD. We're going to have secretary PD. We're going to have to do, finance department, HR department, all of that kind of stuff. So that's what tomorrow is. We're talking about kind of just moving forward with that and, putting into practice, like what does this all look like? And so then that would be, so we have our district committee of our people who kind of, okay, they're going to be leading these action teams and, kind of the data managers, I guess you would call them.
So you're still in a sort of a maturing mode. Have you inventoried all your apps yet and found a bunch of rogue stuff on the network, or what happened?
So that was because I have been vetting software for the district for, as long as I've worked there. And we have a really good curriculum approval process. I really like it as far as it goes through the curriculum, director, instructional coaches, they make sure it aligns to our curriculum, doesn't work against anything we're doing. And then if there's a technology piece, then I vet it for like FERPA compliance, COPA compliance, and then escalate it if it's something new that would require new data integration, anything like that.
Okay.
So that's usually like the bigger stuff that's, if we get a new curriculum resource or a new something like that. But yeah, there were a lot of rogue things. And especially when we did shut down and there were all of those companies coming out of the woodwork saying, oh, free for schools that have closed and free. And it's like, nothing's free. You say it, free like a puppy, right?
Free like a puppy. Don't do it. Yeah.
Don't do it. So that is more of and so we've done some of that teacher PD through the curriculum approval process, that like, we don't like saying no, and we aren't just trying to say no. We're saying we need something that is a safe option for you, for students, so that's where we are with that. Yeah.
Okay. So final question. We have 3 minutes. What are your thoughts on I'm sure did you see the latest special report on all the different structures now of teaching and learning, the one on systemic inequities?
No, I haven't watched that one yet.
Okay. So that is all about where things are moving to structure wise. And we have this idea that's called hybrid logistics, which is the Uberization of the teaching moment. It's sort of the extreme end of where the structure can go. There's intermediate points. But the point is driving, now that you're digital, towards 100% personalized pathways, which can't be done essentially if you remain that whole group structure forever. So it Uberizes based on cohort pace. So first cohort arrives, triggers the teaching, if there's a lecture or there's a small group discussion or whatever, all the rest of it's asynchronous, right? So this is a big idea that's percolating around. What are your thoughts on how structure has shifted and where you think it's going?
So something in Belton, and I'll try to keep it short here, but when we moved to virtual, our high school versus our elementary did things very differently. And our elementary decided that, well, we want to have dedicated virtual teachers, and because we did both virtual and in-person options. So we want to have some in-person teachers for those students. We want to have some virtual teachers for those students.
Yeah.
And then our secondary, though, we're like, well, we're just going to do both. So we're going to like live stream us teaching the class.
Yeah. Concurrent. Yeah.
Right. So it worked, like, because I feel like elementary kind of rethought it all. Right. And it worked better in that situation when you were, okay, let's just rethink this, because we don't want to just like cram this square peg into this round hole. Right.
Yeah.
So, in that same vein, looking at it like, and I remember that activity, the game that we did, at your event, where we are, you have, okay, you're coaching here, and then you go down to support these students. And then you're, where it's like a teacher's actually just teaching.
Emotion. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
They're not doing recess duty and lunch duty and all of those duties and things that are pulling them from here to there and making all the copies and doing all the extra stuff. They're actually just being able to educate, and where you have other people in those other support roles and things like that, taking care of the other stuff, which as a former classroom teacher, it would just be like,
that would be so yummy.
Right? You just get to come to work and do the thing you love. Right?
Yeah. That
right?
would be awesome.
Yeah.
Well, good.